All right, guys, you'll hear from my voice that there's a reason I'm not on camera today. I'm really not feeling well. Apologize if I cough while I'm doing this. My voice is not the best today, but I wanted to get content up just because you got to get content up. That's the YouTube grind, right? But I'm not going to belabor that. This video will likely probably get demonetized because I'm going to use a video. I have to use a video to explain what I'm going to explain here. So it would really help you out. They demonetized my Apu video. YouTube is ridiculous for demonetization. So help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/Leanna K, because YouTube does not believe in fair use for the basis of commentary or criticism. They take away your revenue because of that. So I'm relying on you guys to help me to continue to make this content, because showing the reveal video that kind of broke the internet is really important, because there's something that personally I think is kind of critical here. So I'm going to go over to this YouTube thing. I'm going to full screen it. You see, I got it ready here. I'm going to get proper framing here. Now, I wonder if you're going to see what I see. Do you see what I see? Pay particular attention to his eyes. Not the color of them, the expression in them. Here we go. He comes out of the darkness. Geralt approaches the camera. Okay. There he is. I don't know why his eyebrows are still black, but... And he drinks. Okay, I guess that's supposed to be the Witcher. I forget what they're actually called. I play too many video games, forget what the potions are supposed to be. But did you see the issue I have with the expression? Watch again. Do you see it? He's not quite confident in this part yet. That's what I call help me face. With, stop, I don't care. That's what I call help me face in actors. We're going to switch back to no headers. There we go. That's the look actors get, and you recognize it if you've done it. But that's the look actors get when they're relying too heavily on a director to prompt them. They are not themselves driving the scene. That's a director's mistake. It's also a lack of context of who the hell are they looking at. But he has neither the intensity nor the cynicism in his bearing that one would expect from Geralt of Rivia. Now, what do I think this means for the show? I think on its own, it means nothing for the show, because he's not fully in character yet. This looks more like a screen test than the actual show itself. This this looks like a teaser video. There's no background in it. Like, what is this? It's nothing. There's no set. There's no additional characters. I don't think this is actually in series footage, because they just announced the Triss Merigold casting, which they do before everything starts, because by the time the thing actually casts, they know who the actress is. And the actress in this case is Anna Schaffer. I'm going to call her Schaffer. I don't know if it's Schaefer or Schaffer, but it's two F's, so I'm going to say Schaffer. And people are freaking out about this too, because they're insisting that they race swapped Triss. And people actually wrote me via Twitter to caution me that I should make an amendment to my previous video so that people don't label me a racist because I took issue with the race swapping on Ciri. Now, or that didn't actually happen. I'm forgetting the character. for something. Anyway, they actually did race swap a not main character, but a character from the books and the games, whose name I tend to forget because I confuse it with Philippa, and that's not it. But I did say in that previous video that if they're going to change a character, you might as well change Triss, because they changed her for the games anyway. Triss is not as described in the books and the games, and I actually like book Triss better. Now, I don't think this is actually race swapping a character just because they hired a biracial actress for it. I believe she's biracial. I think they're actually going back, in the case of Triss, more to the book description than the game description. Now, this, and I think she's very pretty. Cool. There are many things about the books that I'd wish the games incorporated more of. However, this is where my concern comes from regarding what's happening with the Witcher series. I'm starting to get the sense, based on all the various things that I'm seeing, that they're trying to distance themselves from critical aspects of the video games. Not just because Hollywood still doesn't understand video games and is therefore threatened by them. I believe this is demographic pressure, and I think they're going about it the wrong way. The core demographic for video games and the core demographic for television used to line up. Core demographic marketing for video games is about 18 to 34. More, if you zero in more, it's 25 to 54. It used to be, 25 to 54, 18 to 34. 18 to 34, I'm messing this up. Sorry, guys, I'm sick. 18 to 34, yes, that is the core marketing demographic for games. It should be 25 to 54, but TV advertisers, they don't really understand who's playing video games. Now, whether it's, and 18 to 34 male. Now, 18 to 34 male used to also be the core demographic that television advertisers were seeking. So television made shows that they thought attracted 18 to 34 male, 18 to 34-year-old men. That's changed. The desirable demographic for television right now is 35 to 54-year-old women. And this is not necessarily because more men or more women ever watch television at a given time. The idea is that advertisers believe that targeting advertising to a certain demographic is more effective. It's a better return on investment than targeting other demographics. And in the case of the 18 to 34 male to 35 to 54 female switch, it's because advertisers used to target 18 to 34-year-old men because they believed that 18 to 34-year-old men were the most influenceable, most persuadable demographic in the population, because young men tend to take more risks. They tend to be more experimental. And it was a time that you could hook them on a brand that as they get older, they're less likely to change. So what advertisers were trying to do, the same way they did with teen marketing back in the day, was they were trying to create brand loyalties in young people that would continue throughout their lives. Now, with the millennials consuming less in terms of quantity, because they didn't have as much money, advertisers moved to a very different most bang for their buck principle. And that became targeting moms, targeting the female head of a household, because the female head of a household, and that doesn't mean that all households have a female head, it means the alpha woman in a given household, moms most of the time, because women still do the household shopping more than men do. And that means that women have an influencer effect. There is a multiplier effect. And it's described sort of, a lot of people buy, say, a particular brand of laundry detergent because that's what they used as a kid. That's what they used growing up. And so they continue to buy that laundry detergent as an adult. Why? Well, it seemed to work just fine. When men do the shopping on behalf of the household, they're often just buying the same brands they were either told to or that they've seen their wives buy. So women on the whole, obviously this is not true in male-male relationships. There's no woman in that equation. But women have an outsized influencer effect, meaning if you persuade that female head of the household, you manage to also persuade 1 to God knows how many people, the average, family with, a mom and dad and 2.1 kids, you're influencing 4 people by influencing 1. And so television is now all about appealing basically to moms. And that is what I think has Netflix so psyched out about The Witcher. They seem, with a lot of their marketing, to be pulling the franchise out of the 18 to 34 demographic, male demographic that most people still perceive games to be, even though they're not. Gaming more accurately reflects the 25 to 54 male demographic, but it is still male. And so they are desperately trying to pull the game away from having a male target as the predominant audience to a female target as the predominant audience, as the primary demographic they are trying to reach. And Netflix isn't as much about this as other shows because they went very heavily superhero. But if you'll notice, they're starting to cancel the things like Iron Fist and Luke Cage in lieu of doing first windows. Like here in Canada, the first time we get to see a show like Black Lightning or The Flash, or I believe even Legends of Tomorrow now, is on Netflix. And those shows they're actually teen women that they're aiming, because it's the same audience as Riverdale. But it's definitely more female welcoming than those Netflix shows other than Jessica Jones, those superhero shows. I mean, yeah, it's just kind of obvious. But even they're even pulling those shows more into the female sphere because of advertising. And they're like, what? Netflix doesn't show commercials? Yeah, but there's still those embedded ads within the series. When you see a MacBook Pro or a bottle of Johnny Walker in a TV show, that is paid advertising. So the money is leading Hollywood around by the nose. It leads every industry around by the nose, but Hollywood's especially bad for it because it's so expensive to make anything. And with Henry Cavill's $400,000 an episode, which is incredibly high by Netflix standards, they need to bring in those bucks. Now, why do they think Henry Cavill is worth $400,000 an episode? I think they think he appeals to women, because this does not look like the grizzled guy who sleeps in the woods and has lice in his beard and is kind of like, whatever, Mr. Cynical. They're definitely going for a more heartthrob quality here. And that's why I said the direction. The director probably, and the female showrunner, probably really liked the vulnerability he's showing here. the thing that's stupid about that is a monster hunter would train himself not to show that kind of vulnerability, because when monsters smell fear, they pounce. So it's out of character based on both the books and the video games, but it's very much in character if you want to create heartthrob Geralt that will bring women in. And I think some of the female casting is also the reason they were so desperate to have a woman of color in one of the lead roles, is because of that as well. The wisdom is now Black people watch a lot of TV. They watch more TV than other racial demographics. So, and there's also huge Black middle class buying power. Black television viewers are persuadable by advertisers. Now, part of that is the upward mobility in terms of social class that Black families are experiencing. And so they're thinking about what to purchase differently. They're not just replicating the middle class buying habits of their parents. They're making their own choices based on a better standard of living. So they need those U-shaped box, U as in Y-O-U. They need those U-shaped box Black female characters because they think that people will be more likely to watch a show where someone who looks like them is present. They're probably, since it's Netflix and it's a premium service, also trying to hook in white liberals that need their guilt assuaged by, look, there's a Black woman in this show, I'm a good person. Now, that's all very cynical business stuff, and I'm all good with that. I get why it's happening. I'm glad that women's purchasing dollars matter finally to media, not out of the goodness of anyone's heart, just because of, cold mercenary, they want to make money. Great. It actually levels the playing field because movies are still not like that. Movies are still male. They're still very much trying to get those male teenagers into the theater, which is why rated R films are something that movie companies tend to want to avoid. But TV is now all about female viewers now. The Witcher books very much weren't. The Witcher books and the games were very much a depressed love song to the men of the working classes. That's what those stories were. They were the common man's blues. And specifically, people in Poland who were not part of the political structure, but I've talked about that before. I won't belabor the point here. But if they are trying to make a property do what it was never intended to do, it is not going to work. The only way to make The Witcher work for a female demographic is to come at the middle class woman's love for their middle class men and basically make the suffering of, working class men noble. And that will work very well in Trump country, in the US. I don't know how many Trump watchers watch Netflix. It's impossible to know what Netflix demographics are because they don't release them. But based on the stuff that Netflix has been doing, I don't necessarily think that Trump country is watching Netflix. Maybe I'm wrong. But I really do think that there's enough people in Trump country to keep those Netflix subscriptions going. Maybe people in Trump country have already subscribed, so they don't need their subscriptions. But they know that female Republicans and female independents sometimes without college degrees are more likely to vote for their husband's interest than their own. Married women in general are more likely to vote against their own interests for their husband's interests. So they will vote for their husband's job. They will vote for their husband's salary before they will vote for their own. Why? Because most men are still higher income earners in their families. And so the quality of life of a family is more dependent on the man's salary. So there's a way to do this, but it doesn't seem like they're taking that approach. It seems like they're taking the coastal liberal approach to attracting women. And I don't know if what I'm saying is making any sense right now. I hope it is. But this is what I'm seeing as a cynical kind of evil person who's been in the media for more than half my life now. It's official. I have been working in media longer than I have not been working in media. Oh my God. This is what I'm seeing. And because I really don't care about how much money Netflix makes, I want the best show it can possibly be. I am concerned that what we are going to get is a diluted product that's at war with itself. And maybe after the first season, they will get that fixed and create something tighter and more cohesive. But out of the gate, they seem to be fighting the source material instead of embracing the source material, meaning we're going to get a Justice League movie instead of Deadpool. The reason Deadpool worked, despite the R rating, despite older men being the primary target as opposed to younger men, because Deadpool was a product of, the 90s era of comic books. They just went for it. A bunch of guys who were of that era wrote a movie for them. And because they don't hate women, it didn't repel women, but it was a movie from a guy's point of view of a certain age. And they went for it. And so there was a purity in the creative process. And it worked. It made a ton of money, despite the R rating, despite an older star, despite a lot of references to 80s and 90s pop culture. Deadpool made a crap ton of money. And I should say shit ton or fuck ton with Deadpool because it is an R rating. I'm really looking forward to Once Upon a Deadpool though. But why is Once Upon a Deadpool happening? Because they want the teenagers, they want the kids to be able to go see Deadpool. Because in superheroes think selling toys, that's where the money is. So follow the money. And that's what I think is happening with The Witcher. Which means my expectations for this show are decidedly lowered. And people are probably saying right now, Leanna, you're a woman. You're in the demographic. You are a 35 to 54-year-old woman. Why aren't you happy about this? Because my tastes are not typical for a 35 to 54-year-old woman. The stuff I like is more like Deadpool. And so all the signs in these trailers and the casting and all this stuff, which on paper should appeal to me as a 40-year-old liberal woman, are repelling me. Because I'm not gender typical. And this is the problem with demographic targeting, with making something based on who it's for, writing to a particular audience, instead of just creating a purity and clarity of vision. Tell your truth as a creator. And if you like it, other people will like it. They're two very different philosophies of media making. So, hope you like that. I'm sure some people will be like, what? I'm sure there's places I didn't make any sense for obvious reasons, but thanks for watching. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'll do my best to get something up, okay? Okay, thanks for watching.